There's a reason some men are always chasing, always searching, always needing one more woman, one more night, one more hit of validation. Because deep down, they're not looking for sex. They're looking for themselves. But the painful truth is this. The more you run after women to feel whole, the more you lose the parts of you that truly matter. There comes a time in a man's life where the silence becomes deafening, not because there's no one around, but because the noise in his head is louder than anything outside. Regret has a tone, loneliness has a language, and time has a way of whispering truths that no one warned you about, or maybe you just didn't listen. Let's talk about the lessons. The ones most men only understand when the damage is done, the people are gone, and the mirror shows more wrinkles than wins. These lessons might hurt, but sometimes the truth needs to sting before it can heal. There's a moment in every man's life when he comes face to face with a truth he's been running from. No one is coming to save him. It doesn't happen in one big, dramatic moment. It happens in the quiet ones. The late nights when your phone doesn't ring. The moments you scroll through social media, watching other people live their lives while you sit still, feeling stuck. The days when life keeps going and you realize no one is checking on you, no one is stepping in to help, and no one is offering a way out. That's when it hits. The understanding that every excuse you've made, every time you've waited for things to change on their own, every time you thought someone would notice your struggle and step in to rescue you, none of that is real. The truth is, you can scream silently and no one will hear it unless you stand up and speak. From childhood, boys are trained in subtle ways to expect the world to eventually work in their favor if they just work hard enough or wait long enough. They're told things like, be strong, and good things come to those who wait. But no one tells you that being strong sometimes turns into suffering and silence. No one tells you that waiting becomes wasting when it's not paired with action. And so many men spend their most vital years in a daze, thinking their breakthrough will come just because they've been through so much. But life isn't a reward system. It doesn't hand out trophies just because you endured. It responds to what you do about what you feel. There's a dangerous comfort in waiting. It absolves you from responsibility. It lets you tell yourself, I'm just being patient, when in reality, you're avoiding the hard decisions. You're avoiding the confrontation with your own power, because stepping into that kind of power means taking full accountability. It means if your life is broken, you don't get to blame your parents, your ex, your boss, or society forever. You can acknowledge your pain, yes. You can name the things that hurt you, but then you have to decide if you build from it or just bleed from it for the rest of your life. Because the longer you sit in your suffering, the more you teach the world to ignore you. At some point, a man must realize that if he doesn't do the work, no one else will. No woman, no mentor, no miracle is going to fix what he refuses to face. The job you hate, you have to leave it. The relationship that's draining you, you have to walk away. The trauma you buried, you have to unpack it. The dream that's dying inside you, you have to revive it. Because no one is going to knock on your door with a golden opportunity wrapped in comfort. No one's going to break into your rut and drag you into your potential. You either rise or you rot. And the world will keep spinning either way. This lesson stings because it takes away the fantasy. It strips you of the illusion that someone will notice your value and give you everything you deserve. It forces you to admit that the life you want will cost you your old life, your old habits, your old mindset. And that kind of growth is terrifying. But what's more terrifying is staying stuck, knowing deep down that you could have done more, been more, if only you had realized sooner that your rescue was always your responsibility. Being needed and being loved are not the same thing. But too many men confuse the two. It starts early, often without realizing it. A boy learns that when he does something helpful, when he lifts something heavy, fixes a problem, stays quiet, or sacrifices his own comfort, he gets praise. He gets a smile, a pat on the back, or even just a nod of approval. Over time, he starts to associate usefulness with worth. And as he grows into a man, that belief gets cemented even deeper. He begins to think that as long as he is providing something, money, protection, solutions, he is valuable, he is lovable. So he gives. He gives his time, his money, his energy, his body, sometimes even his dreams. He sacrifices rest, passion, freedom, all in the name of being needed. And the more people rely on him, the more he feels secure in his place in the world. But deep down, there's a quiet ache, a whisper that says, if I stop giving, will anyone stay? This is the tragedy many men wake up to too late. They build relationships not on shared intimacy or mutual admiration, but on being the dependable one, the strong one, the provider. And when that role fades, when the money slows down, when he can't fix the problems anymore, when he finally gets tired of giving without getting, he finds himself alone. Not just physically, but emotionally. Because the people around him weren't there for him, they were there for what he could do for them. There's a kind of heartbreak that doesn't come from a breakup, but from the realization that someone you loved never really saw you. They saw what you offered. They loved the way you supported them, how you listened, how you carried their weight, but they never asked how heavy it was for you. They never offered to carry anything in return. That kind of one-sided love will drain a man without him even noticing it, until one day he's empty, not just tired, hollow. The need to feel useful becomes a trap, because once you base your identity on being needed, you begin to attract people who only see you as a tool. And the scariest part? You start to fear what will happen when you're no longer needed, so you work harder, you stay longer. You silence your own needs because you're terrified that if you speak up, if you say I'm tired, or I need help, or I don't want to do this anymore, you'll be left behind, forgotten. But love isn't supposed to be a transaction. It's not supposed to be conditional on your ability to produce, fix, or protect. Real love sees you when you have nothing to offer. It values your presence, not just your performance. It holds you when you're weak, not just when you're winning. And it doesn't disappear when you stop being useful. If the people in your life only show up when they need something from you, that's not love. That's convenience. That's survival. That's using. Many men don't realize this until they've been through divorce, burnout, emotional collapse. Until the house is quiet, the phone doesn't ring, and the only person left to comfort them is the man in the mirror. That's when the truth hits hardest. You were never loved. You were only needed. And now, with nothing left to give, you're wondering if you even know how to be loved for who you are, not what you do. That kind of reflection is painful, but it's also necessary. Because once a man learns the difference, he stops begging to be needed and starts learning how to be known. Not as a provider, a fixer, or a protector, but simply as himself. Masculinity has been misunderstood, misrepresented, and misused for generations. It's been shaped by silence, hardened by trauma, and passed down like a secret code that no one ever fully explains. Many men were taught that being masculine meant shutting down, keeping it together, and never letting anyone see you cry. You were told that real men don't feel pain, they fix things. Real men don't ask for help, they figure it out. Real men don't talk about emotions. They bury them deep and keep moving forward. But here's what no one tells you until it's too late. Suppressing emotion isn't strength. It's a slow form of self-destruction. You learn to hold it in. The heartbreak, the anxiety, the shame, the grief. You lock it all inside and build a wall around it. And for a while it works. You're praised for your composure, for your ability to keep cool under pressure. You're admired for being stoic, unbothered, unshakable. But inside, it's not calm. It's chaos. That pressure builds. It doesn't disappear, it just finds quieter ways to leak out. In mood swings you can't explain. In silent battles with your own mind. In moments of rage that seem to come from nowhere. In numbness that creeps in and stays. Even in moments that should bring joy. Somewhere along the way, men were told that feeling emotions is weak. But the truth is, emotions are information. They're messages from your inner world telling you what matters, what hurts, what needs attention. Ignoring those signals doesn't make them disappear. It just blinds you to what's really going on inside. And when a man loses touch with his own emotional life, he becomes dangerous, not just to others, but to himself. He becomes emotionally unavailable, disconnected, reactive. He starts losing his relationships. He stops trusting people. He begins to believe that no one understands him, when in reality, he hasn't allowed anyone to. Self-patrol is not the same as suppression. Self-patrol is the ability to feel fully and still respond wisely. Suppression is the denial of feeling, and it leads to explosion or implosion. Either way, it's damage. True masculinity is not about denying your feelings, but mastering them. It's not about being untouchable, but being courageous enough to face your own wounds. It's not about dominance, it's about discipline. It's the ability to say, yes, I'm angry, but I won't lash out. Yes, I'm hurt, but I will heal rather than harden. But most men aren't taught that. They grow up watching other men suffer silently. Fathers who never apologized, coaches who screamed instead of listened, friends who mocked vulnerability. So the lesson gets reinforced. Stay quiet, stay tough, stay in control. Until that control starts costing you everything you actually care about. Until the people you love say you're distant. Until your body starts breaking down from stress. Until you're lying in bed at night with a lump in your throat and no idea how to cry anymore. What's heartbreaking is that most men don't even realize they're emotionally starved until they're in crisis, until their relationship is falling apart, until they're staring at their child and realizing they don't know how to connect, until they look at themselves and see a stranger, someone who's been surviving instead of living. That's when the internal alarm goes off. That's when they realize strength without sensitivity is just armor, not intimacy. That being a man isn't about being unaffected. It's about being aware. It's about learning to navigate your emotions, not fear them. To stand tall without standing alone. To be powerful without being disconnected. To embrace the full spectrum of who you are instead of hiding behind a one-dimensional image of manhood. There's a phase that many men go through, and some never leave it. A phase where the pursuit of women becomes a way to validate manhood. It starts innocently enough, maybe in adolescence, maybe after a painful rejection. You learn that attention from women feels good. It makes you feel seen, desired, powerful. So you chase it. And when you get it, there's a rush, an unspoken confirmation that you're doing something right, that you matter, that you're enough. But what no one tells you is how that chase can become an addiction, how it starts to define your identity and distract you from the parts of you that are starving for something deeper. When a man doesn't know who he is, he often turns to women to reflect his worth back to him, not because he's a bad person, but because it feels easier than facing the emptiness. Every conquest becomes a temporary high. Every text back becomes a hit of dopamine. Every night with someone new becomes another notch that whispers, "You're winning." But deep down, there's a loneliness that lingers. Wake up next to someone you don't really know, and the silence after the thrill is louder than ever. You realize that what you're filling yourself with isn't actually filling you at all. This isn't about shame. It's not about judging men for enjoying sex or seeking connection. It's about the intention behind it. It's about the quiet desperation behind the chase. Because if you're constantly seeking validation through physical attention, what happens when that attention stops? Who are you when the room is empty? What do you have to offer beyond your charm, your game, your body? If all your confidence is rooted in how many women want you, then it's not confidence, it's dependency in disguise. The truth is, chasing women will never fix the pain you refuse to face. It won't heal the boy inside you who still feels unwanted or unseen. It won't make up for the heartbreak you never processed or the self-worth you never built. In fact, the more you chase, the more you delay your healing. You use new faces to forget old wounds, but the wounds don't disappear. They just deepen under the surface. And eventually, no amount of attention will be enough. You'll need more intensity, more drama, more novelty. And that's how you lose yourself. Not all at once, but piece by piece, in empty rooms with beautiful strangers who don't know your name and don't care about your soul. Real intimacy requires presence, not performance. It's built on truth, not tactics. It demands vulnerability, not control. And that's terrifying for a man who has spent years perfecting the mask of being smooth, desirable, in charge. But the irony is that the love you actually want, the kind that sees you, holds you, chooses you even when you're not impressive, that kind of love can't be chased. It has to be cultivated. And that only happens when you stop running from yourself long enough to meet someone with your whole heart, not just your best game. Many men don't realize they've wasted years until the consequences catch up. Until they're tired, disillusioned, emotionally burnt out. Until they're in a relationship and can't understand why they still feel empty. Or worse, until they've pushed away the one person who actually saw them because they didn't know how to stop performing and start being real. Chasing women is easy. Facing yourself is hard. But only one of those paths leads to peace. Only one of those paths teaches you how to be loved in a way that lasts longer than the night. So now the choice is yours. You can keep chasing the illusion, running from yourself in the arms of temporary comfort, or you can stop, turn inward, and finally meet the man you've been avoiding. Because at the end of it all, it's not about how many hearts you've touched for a moment. It's about whether you ever let someone truly touch yours. Healing starts when the chase ends, and the real work begins.